what exactly is that normalization all about? Kartik, talk to us. How exactly has this normalization been applied there this time around?
So, Krishna, this normalization was actually directed by, in fact, this was approved by the Supreme Court in 2018 for the Common Law Admission Test, CL80, and that formula seems to have been applied this time around also. I've tried to draw it up in two scenarios, and let me take you through both of them. Incidentally, you will see that in both the scenarios, you will find that the final score that a candidate gets is exactly the same. Look at student A. Student A has given a regular exam. The exam is 200 minutes, that is about 12,000 seconds. There are 180 questions.
Right.
For the sake of assumption, student A has attempted all 180 questions. This means on an average, the student is spending about 66 seconds or just a little over a minute to answer each question. For the sake of hypothesis, we've taken that he has got only 2 answers wrong or she has got only 2 answers wrong. What is the total score for this student? It is 178 into 4 marks per correct answer minus 2 into 1 mark for every wrong answer. Simple, 710 out of 720. Fabulous score. Right, let's move on to student B. And in the case of student B, we seem to have a delay, and this delay is coming on account of, let's say, 20 minutes, hypothetically speaking. Now, for the same 200-minute exam, which is 12,000 seconds, student B has lost 1,200 seconds because of the 20-minute delay, has got 10,800 seconds. In this time frame, the student has been able to attempt at the same efficiency rate only 162 questions. Now, what I've done is, this student has also got 2 questions wrong, but mind you, Krishna, and I'll come back to this, these 2 questions are wrong out of 160 questions attempted. In the case of student A, it was out of 180 questions attempted, right? This student definitely seems to be at least on the correct answers below par, on the wrong answers at par with student A. What is this student's actual score? Actual score is only 638 using the same calculation. See how grace marks come into being, and this is where the situation becomes murky. Now, there is something called the answering efficiency, which I told you 66.6 seconds. Now, for the student who has been delayed and there are grace marks being assigned, there is an assumption that with the same efficiency rate, in the lost 1200 seconds, this student could have answered another 18 questions. But remember, out of 160 questions, he's got 2 wrong, right? But this student could have hypothetically scored or answered at least another 18 questions.
Right.
This student's strike rate is as high as 98.7. Now, when you extrapolate that, his miss rate becomes 1.23%. See where this score lands him up. Now, these grace marks kick in immediately once you assign this student's strike rate. This student's strike rate now comes on to a very, very significant, statistically correct but mathematically inaccurate conclusion. Statistically correct means that at 98.7% efficiency rate or strike rate, this student is likely to get 17.76 answers correct. Round that off, that is 18 answers correct. But at a loss rate of 1.23%, this student will get only 0.22, which is rounded off to absolutely no wrong answer, which means this student's gross adjusted score plus the total actual score amounts to the old number of 638 plus what he gets as 72 marks as grace marks, amounting to the same as student 1, who actually did answer 180 questions and did get only 2 wrong. We are extrapolating that data and saying that this student, while he answered 2 incorrect questions out of 160, we are assuming that the balance 20 questions that he may have attempted would have been right. How do you justify this? Both the students end up with the same score, which is 710.